It's easy to focus on what you don't have or don't get versus what you have and what you've been given. It's easy to focus on what you don't have and what you can't get versus what you already have and what you can have. And that was the problem with these first hires, if you will. They did not focus on the generosity of the denarii. It was a generous wage. It was above generous. They were at the bottom of the labor pool, and they were given a day's wage that would have been equitable for any hire, any worker up the ladder. And yet, what did they focus on? They didn't focus on God's generosity and the sovereign will that he had to give to them what he wanted. No, they focused on what they didn't get. And that's a big mistake. That kind of thinking will lead to your own personal demise. Bitterness, anger. It ruins marriages. When married couples focus on what they're not getting versus what they have and what they can cultivate. Obviously, the root being that envy, that selfishness, if you will. And we must be on the guard. We have a duty based upon the teaching of the parable, right? That there's this equity, and God is sovereign in this, and we ought to be thankful and humble that we even have a place in the vineyard. Beloved, listen to me. You're sitting here this morning hearing the gospel preached, a decent building, Bibles in your laps. I'm sure there's lunch prepared afterwards. What do you lack? The truth, I mean, you could be in a family. You could have no family. Parents on drugs. People are so broken in this life, in this world, in this country. Children are being given away for drugs. That's brokenness. They're being given away. It was a documentary on TV. I had to quit watching it. It was just too dark or too real. About the drug culture in America and its darkness. And they would bring these drug dealers in and black out their faces, and they would have this conversation. And the things that they confessed of what they see day in and day out. I had to quit watching. I was too broken. I couldn't stop. I literally would, I'd just start weeping. To imagine such darkness. Beloved, do you have the opportunity to labor in the vineyard? By God's grace, take advantage of it. Be thankful. Be humble. Declare God's generosity to you no matter what. Don't focus on what you don't have, because I'm telling you there are others that would love to be in any of our situations. Many others. And that's not to say that we can sit back and just pat ourselves on the back, right? This is just stating the facts. There's work to be done. There's a gospel to be preached. There's people to be saved. We've got to labor in our vineyard. Amen? We've got to put our hands to the gospel plow and not look back. We've got to tell people about Christ. We have got to learn, beloved, to rejoice in the generosity of God toward notorious sinners like ourselves.